Alright everybody, welcome back. Part 3. Today we're going to talk about tech. Faction abilities and tech. They go together because some faction abilities are tech. So if you've never played, one reason I'd say it's good for a first game to kind of pre-assign a faction is you can try to study it. Like, come on, study a faction? Yes. I think it's important. Now, what do you got to know for tech? Generally speaking, any faction will have several sets of abilities. By the way, this is all expansion abilities, which we'll also talk about. We'll start basic. So the most basic is over here. That right here on the sheet. I'm going to inflate it. The basic faction abilities. So for example, these is the Barony. What do they have? Well, at the start of each round of space combat, you can spend 2 trade goods and reroll any number of dice during that combat round. You can basically pay to fight better. Not bad. Better, though, is Armada. The maximum number of non-fighter ships you can have in each system is equal to 2 more than the number of tokens in your fleet pool. Everybody else has a 3 fleet pool. They start with 5. That saves them points and means their fleets are bigger. Pretty good, right? So that's how you start. You start with like basic abilities. Next, everybody has a different flagship. So for example, theirs is other players' units in the system lose planetary shield. At the start of each space combat round, repair the ship. This ship auto-repairs, and sustained damage, by the way, means it takes 2 hits. So it takes 2 hits and auto-repairs every round of combat. Has a lot of bombard. This means you get to shoot a planet before you do land invasions. 3 times, times 5. So 50-50 chance, not bad. And planetary shield is an ability down here on the orbital guns, which protects people from getting shelled from orbit. And it can shoot back, except for this ship. So that's pretty nice, right? So every capital ship, or every flagship, is a different ability. Sometimes a faction will also have different ship tech. I'll find an example to show you. Here we go. The Sarduk Nor, for example. Normal dreadnoughts. Look here. Normally this is a dreadnought, and it tells you, if you know if it's special, right here. So it says Nor Dreadnought. So it's a 4/5, 1 move, 1 capacity. Now, how does it change? Let's look. It's bombardment 4, combat 5. That's pretty normal, right? No, well, look, it's 4, 5, bombardment 5. So it's better at bombardment by double, right? It's 2 on a 4, twice as much bombardment. And their faction ability, when it has a little plus, is +1 to all combat. So it's a much better ship. And because every faction ship then also has a corresponding faction tech. So this can then upgrade eventually to what's called an extra trireme 2. Which, what does it do? Well, the most important one is here. It moves 2, which we'll talk about that in a little bit. But after the round of space combat, you may destroy this unit to destroy up to 2 ships in the system. It can suicide into other ships. Right? So, I know what a dreadnought does, except totally different. So some factions have 2 technologies and 1 is a ship. Some just have 2 technologies. And we'll go back to the Barony, and I'll show you some of that in a second. But so that's the next difference. There can be ship techs that are different. Everybody has a different promissory note, which generally means giving away your advantage. So for example, you can give away your dice reroll in space combat. You still have it, but they also get it. And then you also get, these are all from the old game, by the way. I'll get into agents next. You get faction tech. They get disruptors. During an invasion, units cannot use space cannon against your units. Basically, when you invade a planet with a big gun on it, the big gun can't shoot your guys. That's nice. It's better than nothing. And especially in the new expansion, there's a faction that has really good orbital guns. This would be a hard shutdown for them. And then this one, non-Euclidean shielding. This is the best ability. When one of your units uses sustained damage, cancel 2 hits instead of 1. Suddenly, all your ships, like your flagship and your dreadnoughts, normally they can take 1 extra hit before they die. Most things take 1 hit and die, but sustained damage is normally 2. Now they can take 3 hits, right? So you hit me twice, great, I want to flip 1 ship. So the Barony has bigger fleets, and their ships can become quite good in combat. So obviously they're a fighting faction, right? That's one thing they seem to be very good at. That's the basics of faction tech, right? You have your 2 abilities, you have a promissory note, and then you have 2 tech. That is the original game. The expansion has added 1 more layer. Oh, and of course, one more thing I forgot. Home planets. everybody has different home planets. So, for example, these are the Barony home planets. And these are fixed. They get 2 planets, and a 4 and a 2. So 4 resources and 0 influence. 2 resources, 1 influence. And if you remember, we did the ghost guys. Where are the ghosts? The ghost home planet was 4 and 2. So technically, this is a better resource. Now, what's the downside of having... What's the upside of 2 home planets? Well, you can build a second space dock. So you can actually get more capacity out of your home world when you build. That's good. But if somebody takes one of the planets in your home world, you can no longer score. So it's harder to defend. So it has a pro and a con, basically. So all the home worlds are different too. That's the base game. But in the new game, there's 2 major differences. There's alliances, which I'll explain in a second, and agents, and mechs. So those are 3 differences. But they're all tied in the same system. So basically, what's a mech? A mech is a new ground unit. All of them are 2 cost, 6 combat. If you look at and sustain damage. By the way, this shielding works on mechs. So mechs are like battleships on the ground. And remember, infantry hit on 8s. These hit on 6s. Pretty good. What do theirs do? Well, what's special? And every single one has a different special ability. It's like, and there's 4 of them, which is nice. This one, for example, deploy at the start of a round of ground combat. At the start of a round of ground combat, you may spend 2 resources to replace one of your infantry with a mech. So whenever somebody attacks you, you just pay 2, surprise mech. And remember, if you're upgraded over here, then that ship becomes 3 damage. It's horrible. It's so great. So this is their trick, right? They can surprise mech you when you invade a planet. Oh, it's so funny. And then we got agents, or these commander things. There's 3 levels of them. There's the one everybody starts with, which is an agent. Generally, every turn you can use it once. That's what an agent is. Then you have commanders, which once they're unlocked, they work all the time. And every faction has a different unlock. Ours here is have 5 non-fighter ships in one system. Makes sense. And he's basically their banner guy. See? Same face. And finally, you get 1 hero. This hero, and all heroes unlock it once you score 3 objectives. Every hero can only be used once a game, and they do something crazy. Let's see what ours does. Well, actually, let's do one at a... Actually, I'll do that later. So let's start with the agent. What does our agent do? The agent is... Nope, I broke it. Here we go. You may exhaust this card and choose 1 ship in the active system. That ship rolls 1 additional die during this combat round. So agents you can generally use for anybody, although I generally say why not use it for yourself. This one just gives you 1 more dice once. Now, that doesn't sound that great, but if we're talking like a Dreadnought dice on a 5, that's actually pretty good. So it can change a clutch combat and mean you lose less ships. Not bad at all. What is their commander? This is fun. Remember we talked about all that stuff about sustained damage? Well, all the time, your commander, once he's in the game, when one of your units uses sustained damage, you get a trade good. You get paid for fighting. Specifically using sustained damage on your dreadnoughts, on your flagship, and on your mechs. Not bad, right? And what does your agent do once you get 3 objectives? It's an action, and actions basically are in the tactical phase, like when we're playing the game going in circles, in priority order. You do it, and that's your move. And then somebody else's move, and it comes back to you. This action, place this card near the game board. The number of non-fighter ships you can have in systems is not limited by the laws or by the number of command tokens in your fleet pool during this game round. At the end of the game round, purge this card. So for 1 whole turn, like where you were doing all of our actions, you have unlimited fleet capacity for a whole game round. This one is a big deal. This is huge. So this is like your once a game super move going for the win. 15-man fleets. So this could be insane. So they've added this level of insanity. Oh, and so it's quite fun. Now to talk about alliances are a promissory note where you and another person give each other their command ability. Isn't that nice? Wow, why wouldn't you do that? I'll show you. Let me see. We did these in the first video. Here you go. When you activate the system that complains 1 or more of the yellow player's units, return this card. So once you attack them, you lose theirs. They don't lose yours until they attack you. So you trust somebody with your ability. but you can lose it. So that alliances are awesome. I mean, alliances are when you receive this card. If you are not the yellow player, you must place it face up in your play area, and while you have it, you can use the yellow player's command ability. Pretty cool. So that is the basics of faction differences. Welcome. So whatever faction you get, you can ask us. I can even take a screenshot of that for you and send it to you. You can get your faction abilities, and they're in the documents I put on the Discord. So you can find these all over the internet, quick guides and stuff like that. So find your faction, learn his abilities, learn his commodities, learn if he has any special ships, see what your agents do and think about it. And if you don't know, ask. I'm happy to help if I can. Figure out what your techs are. And then this leads us naturally into the next bit, which is what the heck are techs? Okay, so reminder, hopefully you're watching these in order. We talked about the strat cards. Oh, they're over here. And they're flipped upside down. I'm just going to show you tech. This is the one we care about right now. There's a couple other ways to get tech, but let's focus on the normal way. So either the primary or the secondary of the tech strategy card. Almost all the time you'll be doing the secondary. Let's be honest. So you spend 1 token and 4 resources to research technology. Interestingly enough, Barony is one of those factions where they can easily do tech round 1 and build. Why? They have 2 plants untapped. So let's say somebody else plays it. Hey, I want to do it too. You spend your 1 token. Boop. You pay your 4. Now you can build. Now these guys have 2 starting techs, but let's not worry about that right now. I hid them. I put them in this organization I did earlier. I think they start with plasma scoring and Sarween tools. Yeah. Oh no, plasma scoring, gravity drive, maybe. It was 2. Or no, it might be anti-mass. It was 2 of these. I think they have maybe anti-mass. I'll have to check my literature on that. So they start with 2. You always start with 0, 1, or 2 techs, and then the rest of the game you have to research. Now, there's basically 4 research trees. There's green, which is who cares what they are? I'll just show you. I'll explain them in a second. Green, blue, red, and yellow, and then your faction upgrades, which go into one of those schools, and then there is unit upgrades here. See, high unit upgrades. Now, let me explain what this is. So when they have these little pips at the bottom right pip tells you the school. So these first 2 are greens, these first 2 are blues, these first 2 are reds, and these first 2 are yellows, right? Now, once there's another pip in the bottom left, that means to get this tech requires a prerequisite. So you must have 1 yellow tech to get this tech. So there's a tech tree, basically, for all the major colors. This also applies to ships. Every ship upgrade has prereqs. So, for example, fighters require 1 green, 1 blue. Now, there's another exception to this. If you have a planet that has a tech specialty. So, for example, see this one here? Move my orientation. It's in my channel, so it's probably likely I'd get it. So, Vorhal. So let's say I took it, right? Let's say I was invading and I had Vorhal and it was untapped in my hand. And let us find it. There we go. So let's say it's a turn after I took it, or I used diplomacy. So now I have this card before I do tech, and I really want a green technology. Or let's say I want, let's make a better example, because we did mention I started with a blue and a red. Let's say I wanted fighter too, but I didn't want to get a green technology. I could flip this planet and use its, instead of using its resources, I use its tech skip, and then pay my 4, and I could research fighter 2. That counts as a tech skip. And for the rest of the game, my fighters are hit on 9s, and more importantly, they have move 2. Normally fighters are stuck with carriers or dreadnoughts, but now suddenly my fighter can move and fight better and move on its own. That's a big freaking deal. So that's what a tech skip does. Now, there's a lot of text in the game. I definitely can't review them all in this little video. But generally speaking, how would I learn text or figure out what's good? The easiest way to do it early on as a new player, focus on simple. Read them. They're, I'm pretty sure I uploaded a tech PDF, and you can find them on guides online. Figure out what will get you. I don't want to do that. I froze the game last time. Get out of here. Find out which ones complement your faction. So, for example, I'm all about direct sustained damage, right? I should probably get Dreadnought 2. So let me show you this. So Dreadnought 2, there's a special card in the game. It's called Direct Hit, which can blow up your ships that use sustained damage. But if I get this, that won't blow my ships up. That's nice. Does it do anything else? Well, if you look, yes, it makes my ships move 2. Suddenly, they're faster. And movement is a big deal. So move 2 means my ships can start to be more flexible. So if we knew that, and we knew I started with, I'm pretty sure it's plasma scoring, AMS deflectors. Okay, and I want Dreadnought. I either need another blue and another yellow, or a skip. Let's see if I can get any of that near me. No skips. No skips. Green skip, yellow skip. I have to fight him for it. Probably not going to get a skip here, right? So what do? Let's make a plan. So I need one more blue. Which ones are good? Well, you can get level 2s now, because we have a level 1, right? Gravity Drive or Sling Relay. These are both very good. Gravity Drive, one ship in every activation can move +1. Very, very good. It's an old card. Sling Relay, a new card. This is an action. You exhaust this. You're allowed to build a ship in any of your space stations. You have to pay, but you still get to build it. Ooh, that's good too. You could do either one. I like mobility normally, so I get Gravity Drive, but building ships that you can immediately move is probably even better. So maybe I plan to get Sling Relay, and then I need one yellow. One is when you explore, you get to explore again. Even if it's already been explored, you've already been explored, you can explore a system. That's good. Or when you build, it's you get one free resource. Ooh, both those are pretty good. But if I picked this one, the Sling Relay, where I'm building more, I could probably make money off Sarween tools. So probably what I would do is I'd start with these, and then the first round, I'd get Sarween. Second round, Sling Relay. Third round, Dreadnought 2. So now that's a 3-turn tech plan. Now, will it always go that perfectly? No. Tech is expensive. 4 is a lot of ships, right? It's 2 cruisers, it's a carrier and some fighters, it's a dreadnought and, some infantry, or just a dreadnought, right? Like, are you better off having a dreadnought or tech? Generally, tech is very powerful. However, it's good to have a tech plan before you play your first game. And if you need help with this too, if you have a faction, I'm happy to give you ideas just so you can look at it yourself. I was thinking about, like, if I was going to teach somebody this, how would I say to plan your tech? I would say pick your first 4. As a new player, if you can get 4 techs done, that's a win. And if they're useful techs you actually understand and you can remember them, that's better. Most new players do not remember their technology at all. So I'd recommend getting complementary technology. This is complementary, right? With the Sling Relay, I can start building dreadnoughts without using my fancy activation tokens, right? My command tokens. So then suddenly, right, I'll now have building. I'll be building ships easier, and they'll be better ships, and they'll be cheaper, right? So now I've leaned into that I build giant battleships part of my faction. It's not the only way to build it, but it's a way. So hopefully this was helpful, everybody. I'm sure I'll make more, but thanks for watching. Bye-bye.